So you're probably using scarcity and urgency in your sales pitch because that's basically what some guru told you to do. But let me tell you, when you're talking to a 6 or 7 figure client, those tactics, they don't create urgency. In fact, they just make you look desperate, and it creates distrust. I recently reviewed 2 different sales calls for the exact same 25K coaching package. And the first salesperson used every trick in the book. Things like, this is the last spot, the price goes up tomorrow, last call kind of thing. And that call ended up kind of a vague, let me think about it. And eventually, as you could probably guess, the deal evaporated. But the second salesperson, they did the complete opposite. They created so much value during the call that the high price tag became almost like an afterthought. The client was literally asking them, what is the next step here? They wanted to know what the next steps were. Very different. So what actually was the difference there? Well, the second salesperson understood that premium clients don't want to be sold to. They want to be understood. They want the satisfaction of discovering the right solution, not the pressure of, the hard pitch. So in this video, I'm going to break down some of my learnings and the counterintuitive approaches that actually speak to high-ticket clients and make your offer the only logical choice. So the problem here, let's start. The high-ticket mismatch. The real reason your sales pitch is failing with premium clients is that you're playing by the wrong rules, as my previous example shows. You've been taught to sell to the masses, to the budget conscious, if you will, to people who need a little push. So you use tactics designed for that exact audience. But here's the catch. High-ticket clients, they aren't just using wealthier version of your average customer. They are completely different. They operate from a completely new and different mindset than what you might be used to. These are people who are already successful. They're driven and they're in control. They aren't looking for a quick fix or a discount, and they can spot manipulation and manipulative tactics that prey on fear from a mile away. In fact, those tactics are a giant red flag to a premium client. Manufactured urgency just signals that you're desperate, not that your offer is valuable. So fake scarcity makes them question the integrity of your business, not desire the offer more, which is what you want, obviously. The average salesperson thinks their job is to convince the customer, to convince their client and twist their arm until they get a yes. This is a fatal mistake. High achievers don't respond to pressure or gimmicks. They expect clarity, competence, and confidence. The moment they feel you're trying to convince them, a wall goes up. They stop hearing your value, and they just hear the noise of a transaction, a mundane thing, and they are masters at turning that stuff out. So the core of the problem is that it is an identity mismatch. You're talking about problems to someone who only thinks in solutions. You're selling features to people who only invest in transformation. You're pushing a product, but what they're truly buying is a new reality, a higher level of performance, or most of all, the guarantee of a result. Until you shift your entire approach to match their world, you'll keep repelling the very clients you want to attract. So agitation, those are the red flags you're accidentally waving across the board here. So let's get specific. Every time you use a traditional high-pressure tactic, you're waving a giant red flag that screams, I don't get you, man. You might be thinking you're creating a compelling sales environment, and the premium clients, they completely see something else entirely. So when you say, hey, we only have 2 spots left this quarter or this month, you think you sound exclusive. But what they hear is, well, my business isn't successful enough to have a steady flow of clients. They see it as a cheap gimmick, not a real limitation. And, high ticket buyers are drawn to strength and stability. Your scarcity tactic makes you look like a gamble they're not willing to take. See, when you push urgency with lines like special pricing ends Friday, Sunday at midnight, you think you're motivating a quick decision here, but what they hear is my offer is not valuable enough on its own, so I have to bribe you to act now. These are decisive people who make moves on their own timeline, not yours, and it's certainly based on logic and not your promotional schedule. So rushing them is an insult to their intelligence, frankly. It makes them feel like you care more about your quota than their success. It's a big problem. And it's the fastest way to lose their trust. And maybe the most damaging mistake of all is focusing too hard on their pain points. Amateurs, they think that their job is to find the wound and pour salt on it. But high achievers don't see themselves as people with problems per se. They're leaders, executives, and entrepreneurs, real business owners, and bombarding them with messaging about what they lack feels condescending, and it totally misses the mark. They're not looking for a savior here to rescue them from their pain. They're looking for a strategic partner to help them unlock their next level of success. So every single one of these tactics positions you as a transactional, commodity-based salesperson. And in the world of premium clients, commodities are invisible. They don't buy them from people who are desperate for the sale. They partner with people who are certain of the result. So your anxiety and your need to close the deal, well, they can smell it, and it repels them every single time. So the solution is the counterintuitive shift here. So if your old sort of sales playbook is useless, well then what actually works? The solution is a complete paradigm shift. It's a counterintuitive approach that requires you to stop selling and start leading. It's about moving from a mindset of persuasion and pressure to one of pure alignment. The elite closer gets this. You don't convince a premium client, you don't pressure them, you don't handle their objections. Instead, you create an environment where the value is so clear, so crisp, and the transformation is so compelling that investing with you becomes the only logical next step. And ultimately, they arrive at the decision on their own. We've had calls where they say, where do we start? We didn't even try to close them, right? So this isn't about memorizing a better script, by the way. It's about embodying a better mindset. It's about radiating a level of certainty, very much so, that makes their investment feel like the safest, most powerful decision they can make. And this shift is built on three counterintuitive approaches. Instead of creating pressure, you're going to create clarity. I talk about that in other videos. And instead of faking scarcity, you're going to demonstrate undeniable authority. And instead of focusing on their pain, you're going to speak to their power, and you speak directly to it. This is how you go from being just another salesperson to a trusted advisor. And it's also how you make a high price tag feel irrelevant, because the focus is no longer on the cost, but on the return. The return on their life, their business, and of course, their future. So we're going to talk about these three counterintuitive approaches in a little more detail. So here are the three game-changing approaches you need to make to master this process and to attract, connect with, and close premium clients. So step one here, replace urgency with inevitability. So traditional sales, they teach you to create urgency, as you've learned. The fear of missing out, FOMO, right? The elite approach, however, is to create a sense of inevitability. Hard to say. This means framing your solution and not at some fleeting opportunity, but as the obvious, inevitable next step on their journey to the outcome they already want. And high-ticket buyers are strategic. They're long-term thinkers. They don't make impulse buys. They make calculated investments. So in that regard, your job is not to rush them, but to show them that your path is the most direct and most certain route to get to their goal. The conversation shifts from why you need this now to, based on where you are now, sir, this may be the only way that makes sense. What do you think? So it's a more collaborative conversation. You do this by deeply understanding their goals and also, very much so, laying out how your process is the bridge from where they are now to where they want to be. This is your unique system. The feeling you're creating isn't anxiety, it's a calm, confident aha moment where they realize, yeah, this is the way. The sale doesn't feel like a moment of pressure, it feels like a moment of profound clarity. And when you establish inevitability, the client doesn't feel sold. Guess what? They feel seen. The other approach is replace scarcity with certainty. See, amateurs use scarcity. One spot left, as I said, closing this weekend. Professionals use certainty. Certainty is the most valuable currency in a high-ticket sale. These clients aren't looking for a deal. They're looking for a guaranteed result. And they will happily pay a premium to remove the risk from the equation. Your certainty in your offer, your process, and their outcome is what they're actually buying. So this isn't about being arrogant or making wild promises like, oh my God. It's a quiet confidence that comes from deep expertise and a proven track record. It shows in the way that you speak and the questions you ask. In fact, I know a coach who quadrupled their price for the exact same offer. The only thing that they changed was their own belief in the value provided. The client didn't even blink because they weren't buying the offer. They were buying the coach and his certainty. So stop talking about limited spots and start talking about guaranteed transformation. So instead of things like this program is almost full, say this is the program essentially that gets you the results. You're not selling access here. You're selling an identity shift. Your unwavering belief in what you do is far more magnetic than any fake scarcity you could ever invent. So the third approach is replace pain point and sell with empowered identity messaging. That is a key differentiator, and perhaps this is the most critical shift of all. So you stop turning your sales calls into therapy sessions about their pain points. You're not the therapy to do that at this point. High-level clients already know their problems. They don't need your magnification of the shortcomings. That just makes you sound like the other 99% of marketers and salespeople they've already learned to ignore. So the counterintuitive approach here is to speak to their empowered identity. Remind them of who they already are. A leader, a high performer, someone who is already successful. And your message should be built around co-creation. It's not, here's what's wrong with you and here's how I'll fix it. It's more along the lines of, I see you're a powerful leader and I believe together we can unlock the next dimension of your success. And that is a big difference in approach. This, in fact, is the difference between selling a solution and co-creating a future. High-ticket clients are buying an outcome, as you have learned, a version of themselves they want to become. Your job essentially is to paint that picture with so much conviction that they can't help but see themselves in it. And you want to use language that speaks to their ambition, not their frustration. Frame the investment not as a cost to fix a problem, but as a strategic move and an investment to achieve a greater vision. If this is starting to click here, guys and gals, and if you're ready to stop pushing away premium clients and start attracting them with real authority, put together a free playbook, and I call it the Certainty Matrix. It's a simple, powerful doc. It breaks down exactly how to structure these conversations step by step, and you can grab it for free. It's going to be in the link below. Free access, no challenge, no upsell. In fact, when you get it, you get access to my free newsletter as well, if you choose to do so. So the transformation conversation, let's talk about that. When you combine these three approaches that I just mentioned, your sales calls stop to become like these pitches and become transformation conversations. And the whole dynamic flips here. You're not there to convince or push or pressure anyone of anything. You're there to see if there's a good fit. You're not trying to get the sale, essentially. You're almost looking for the no. You're deciding if you even want to accept them as a client. You have your own walls set up. And the conversation is both calm, strategic, it's explorative, and you ask powerful questions that lead them to their own conclusions. That is key. You discuss the investment up front, not as a scary hurdle, but as a simple logistical point in the process to make sure you're both on the same page. You're so focused on delivering unbelievable value that the price just becomes a pure detail, a side note almost. You're not even afraid to tell them what your program won't do, because that honesty builds massive trust in what it will do. That is a very important point. So in this model, you're the one in control. Imagine that. You're the prize. High value clients respect this. They're used to being in charge and they want to partner with people who operate on their level. And these are people who are just as confident and certain as they are. So in conclusion, let's put it all together. The reason your sales pitch repels premium clients is because it's built on a shaky foundation of scarcity, urgency, and pain, and a foundation that just can't support the weight of an empowered buyer. And the amateurs will keep using these old tire tactics, and they'll keep wondering why they're stuck with clients who complain and ask for discounts, and worst of all, refunds. The elite 1% understand the game is completely played on a different field. It is on a totally different level. And they replace urgency with the calm confidence of inevitability, as I mentioned. They replace scarcity with the unshakable power of certainty. And most of all, they replace pain and pain point selling with a compelling vision of a completely empowered identity. Here's the cool thing. This isn't just a sales strategy. It's a fundamental shift in how you see yourself and the value you bring to the table. High ticket closing isn't about manipulating someone into a decision. It's about leading them to their own transformation. You are the authority, you are the leader in this context, and you're there to help them. So, if you're ready to make the shift and join the ranks of elite closers, make sure you subscribe to my channel here and turn on notifications, because I'm exploring these topics every single week, multiple videos per week. And don't forget to download your free Certainty Matrix Playbook. It's a Google Doc from the description below. And this is your first step to making your high price an afterthought and becoming the only logical choice for your dream clients. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.